91.3 RSU Radio's Native Air every Sunday morning from 10 to 11. Good morning and welcome back to our show. This morning we're talking about the Tulsa Indian Art Festival. Now 27 years in effect in Tulsa. This year, February 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Glenpool Conference Center. And if you'd like to find out more about the festival, you can go to tulsaindianartfestival.com. And along with me now, one of the artists at the festival who's been there for several years, a well-known American Indian artist, Merlin Little Thunder. Good morning, Merlin.
Good morning.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a Southern Cheyenne. I'm not one of the five civilized, so I jumped the fence and I couldn't jump back. So I'm over here, and I've been painting for since the 80s. Actually, I've been painting all my life, but professionally since 1980.
Mm-hmm. What got you started painting professionally?
It just caught up with me.
Mm-hmm.
It just caught up with me. I worked a number of jobs, and it just wasn't satisfying or appealing. So, I just began painting professionally, and it just kind of got caught up in the wave.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us a little bit about your style.
My style is more of a representational style. It's a departure from what you might call the flat two-dimensional traditional Indian art, and I do more of a narrative, more of a history and its people and its land, mm-hmm. and all of the things that make us who we are today.
Mm-hmm. How much does your Southern Cheyenne background influence the art that you do?
Well, I do mostly my tribe. I used to do other tribes, but mostly now I do only of my tribe because I know about it. I know about its history and its past and present and future. Mm-hmm. So that's why I do my own tribe.
Mm-hmm. We're talking with Merlin Little Thunder, a well-known artist. Your work is shown pretty much all over the place. Tell folks some of the places that your work has traveled.
Well, it's all over Japan. It's all over Italy. In the United Kingdom and France. We were involved with one of the Tyson Foods patronage, where they would buy a painting and they would invite their business associates from overseas to come and view their operations, and then they would give them a print to take back with them. And it was a number of people that would come over from different countries to view this operation, so they all were able to take prints back to Europe with them. So we had done a number of prints with them, and we participated, and we would be there with them at their banquets and at their events, and that's some of the images that we have in Europe right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk to us a little bit about the idea of art as a profession, the challenges that are involved there. There might be a student or some young person or even an adult who's thinking about a career in art. Talk about some of those challenges.
Well, it's a very demanding, very high pace. It's very fast, very, very quick. You have to work really quick. You have to work fast, and it's the main thing about this Indian art business is commitment. You have to be committed to it. You have to be ready to work hard, and you have to be ready to move forward in all its challenges. And the main thing about it is that you have to continue to improve. You have to continue to reach higher. You have to always want to do better and better. A lot of artists are not satisfied with their paintings. They always want to do the better one, mm-hmm. the next one. If you ask Indian artists, what is the best painting you've done? They'll usually say, I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet. And those are the ones that are committed to their art and their profession.
Mm-hmm. I think that's probably true for a lot of artists who, once they finally produce whatever it is they're working on, they see the imperfection to their eyes, whereas the person who's appreciating that art doesn't really catch the subtle imperfections. They're more overwhelmed with all the good.
Mm.
Seems like that's a standard thing. Let me ask you about this question. I think it's an interesting one for a number of people to hear about, and of course I believe it's the early 90s when the Federal Indian Arts and Crafts Act comes into play, and the idea of that is that a person should be a member of a federally recognized tribe or have some other recognition by the tribe in order to show their art as American Indian art. How do you feel about that?
Well, it has a lot to do about upbringing and learning and tradition. A lot of Indian artists were raised traditionally, and some were not. And so even those who are recognizably Indian, you know, with the features, they were not raised traditionally. And there are those who are only a 16th and a 32nd. They were raised traditionally, and I don't think those people should be left out of the mix. I think they should be given a place among us because they were raised traditionally. They know about their heritage. They know about their culture. They grew up with it. They were right there whenever everybody was doing their tribal and traditional practices. And that's basically the way I feel about it. Is that those who were raised traditionally should be left alone and allowed to continue on.
Well, that's really interesting. So what you're saying there is there may be some people who, especially in the Western tribes, where the requirement for membership is larger blood quantum, might be a quarter, an eighth, or something like that. But then those younger people or other people who are descendants of those tribal members can't be a member of the tribe, federally recognized tribe, because they are not that particular blood quantum, but they have the knowledge and the skills to participate, and yet sometimes they don't get to do that. So it's kind of an interesting thing.
It's real frustrating too, because you have full bloods and people who are half Indian, and they're intermarried. They're intermarried to other people, you know, to non-Indians and other tribes where the blood quantum lessens, and they can't enroll their children, and they're left out. And that's one of the problems that we're also facing today, also as well.
Are there things that should not be depicted in art?
There are a lot of sensitive things that belong to tribes that the tribes say this is ours. We don't want it in books. We don't want it. We don't want it to be showcased, because the reason for that is that they're still practicing that today. Some of those ceremonies that a lot of these tribes are practicing shouldn't be depicted because they're still ongoing, and it's a very sensitive material.
So let's say there's a 100-year-old photograph of some activity that was going on 100 years ago. Would you ever use something of that nature as an inspiration, or you just stay away from it because that particular activity is still being practiced, and whether it's a 100-year-old photograph or from last week, it's not something that people want depicted?
Well, a lot of times she'll say it's already in the book, so go ahead and you can go ahead and reproduce it in your work because it's already out there. It's already printed. People already see it and they already know it. And a lot of times, a lot of that type of imagery is misrepresented. They don't see it. They don't identify it properly. They'll leave something out. So our job essentially is to go back and re-identify it and re-educate people about what this 100-year-old photograph is and what they're doing and what it's all about. So a lot of times it's better to go out there and to try to tell people what this is about, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, don't look at that. You can't paint that."
Interesting. We're talking with Merlin Little Thunder, who's one of the artists showing at the Tulsa Indian Art Festival, and you were just saying earlier you've been showing there for some time. Talk about your history with the festival.
Well, I've been showing there since 1990. I wasn't able to show around 1989, 88. I was really super busy with a number of galleries. I was juggling about 8 galleries from coast to coast, so I had no inventory to do a lot of these types of shows. So then as time progressed, a lot of these galleries dropped off. They went out of business and they changed hands, and I never replaced them. Instead, I replaced them with a lot of these art shows, a lot of these festival type shows, and I was able to get out there and reach more people and be more active in the community. And I think that's what these festival type shows are. They're about community involvement, and I like that. I really like that, to be able to go out there and to mix and mingle among the community and to be part of the Indian art scene in the communities of various cities and towns across the United States. And really enjoy it doing the Tulsa Indian Art Festival, and it's been different every year, and it's continued to just get better and better.
It's coming up February 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Glenpool Conference Center, and I know some artists, American Indian artists, have branched out beyond the print. So T-shirts, coffee mugs, Pendleton blanket designs, really it's infinite what's starting to happen with regard to American Indian art. Has any of your work gone in that direction?
Well, mostly I try to just maintain originals and a few prints, because I'm a high volume painter. I try to do new works for every show. So a lot of times I don't keep a lot of the paintings. They always walk off. Have a lot of patrons, have a big following, and that's the thing about these shows. These shows, is Tulsa Indian Art Festival, and a lot of these shows have big medicine because they get on the radar, and these patrons follow us. They follow us from show to show a lot of times, and once you're on the radar, the patrons will come. They will come because the artists have a yearly schedule, and they include only a certain portion of shows in their yearly schedule. So once you're like I said, once you're on the radar, then people will start coming. People will come and they will buy from you.
So no Little Thunder coffee mugs coming?
No coffee mugs. No, I'm really too busy for
T-shirts,
coffee mugs.
None of that. Oh, you got to get the painting or the print, and that's it.
Yep, painting or print, and that's it.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about what you're working on today. When you go home, what are you going to be working on? Well,
I'm working on the North Canadian river scene in the fall where I grew up, and it's a lot of the cottonwood trees, and it's a lot of yellows, earth tones, and it's these women are on different sides of the riverbank, and they're walking with their dogs. Of course, they're out there gathering, and they're interacting with nature, and they're gesturing, friendly conversation to one another, and that's basically what I'm working on for this show right here, the Tulsa Indian Art Festival. Plus some smaller winter camp scenes, since it's in the winter months.
All right, Merlin Little Thunder, well-known American Indian artist from right here in Oklahoma, Southern Cheyenne, will be showing at the Tulsa Indian Art Festival, along with a whole bunch of other folks, and that's going on February 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Glenpool Conference Center. And they do have a scholarship benefit dinner that's on the Friday night. And there is an admission. It is a non-profit organization. We don't share the admission fee here on Rogers State University Radio because we're also a non-profit, but obviously being a university environment. But you are welcome to go find out more at TulsaIndianArtFestival.com. And of course, there's all kinds of expenses that go along with the art festival. They got to rent the facility and deal with the security and the cleanup and all the stuff that goes along with putting on a big event like that. So your admission really is supporting all the things that are going on there during the festival. Merlin, what kind of encouragement do you have for future artists?
Get involved and ask questions, and try real hard. Get out there and take your place among us. Come out there and join us. We'll be happy to have you. A lot of us are glad to share our knowledge and our experiences, and we're glad to share with you. And if you want to come and be among us and be with us and do what we're doing, come out there and meet us, visit with us, and we'll show you how.
All right. Thank you very much, Merlin Little Thunder, and also Rob Tripp for coming in and talking with us this morning about the Tulsa Indian Art Festival on 91.3 RSU Radio, Native Air.
All righty.
Okay, Merlin, if you would, tell us a little bit about this painting.
Well, this painting was donated to the Tulsa Indian Art Festival when I was selected as a poster artist, and it's a rather large painting. And the thing about this painting is that I did it in breakneck speed. I've done it like in 2 weeks. And what this painting speaks about is that two enemy tribes making friends. They're making friends. They're tired of fighting with one another, and they want to make peace. So this is called She Brings Horses. And what they do is when they prepare to make peace, they meet and greet, and they agree that they need to make peace, and they choose a neutral site to where they can all gather and and conduct the peacemaking process. So what one of the tribes do is that they choose a very virtuous woman with high standards, and then they send her to the river to cut willows. And after she cuts a number of willows, they look over their stock of horses, and they start to cut these willows according to their horses. Like there's some willows with all of the skin, the bark taken off the willows, and they're left white, and that represents a white horse there. And some of these willows are notched. they're notched. The bark gets left on in different intervals that represent spotted horses, and some of those willows are painted. They're stripped and they're painted red. They represent these roan horses, strawberry roan horses. And then they meet, and then they feast, and they dance and sing, and then they put the willows in the middle of the camp, and they ask all of the tribal members to line up, and then they hand them a stick. One stick represents a horse. So the member of the other tribe will take the stick and go to the corral, and then he'll give the man a stick, and he'll lead away a horse. So that's what this painting is speaking about right here.